Humans will be human everywhere, even in places where they have been called to a higher purpose. I understand that people make mistakes, but as Christians, we go against the examples of our ancestors when we continuously accept those mistakes. Paul never wrote, "It's okay, you're human, and your flaws are acceptable." He admonished people to love one another, grow in the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and live out the gospel. Grace covers flaws, but it does not submit to them. During my time at Johnson University, I witnessed many flaws, and there are environmental factors that must be addressed in order to repair the spiritual damage present at Johnson. I personally have dealt with loneliness, depression, and doubt since I started school at Johnson. Through these struggles, I have experienced extreme spiritual growth, but I have not felt the support of a community during this process. See, the expectation at Johnson is for people to be involved in each other's lives, but Johnson's administrators do not facilitate these relationships well. We pose solidarity through communal chapel and prayer, but many of us do not authentically desire to participate. How can this mandatory worship be pleasing to God? How can our forced fellowship be beneficial to each other? Instead of pursuing honest interaction and confrontation with each other, we gossip about and judge one another. We use impure means to know about each other, and we create distance and tension by doing so. In such a small school, the damage multiplies quickly, and people find themselves spiritually alone. When alone, people tend to internalize their struggles. This behavior counters the open, connected environment that Johnson wishes to create. I say that the fault falls on administrators because of the rules set in place. The rules set the tone of the community, whether people talk about them or not. Everyone is conscious of them. Some of Johnson's rules include curfew, dress code, no premarital sex, and no drinking or smoking. I don't disagree with the appropriateness of these rules for a Christian environment. I do, however, see fault in that there are no rules regulating how we treat each other within our Christian community. The existing rules have a legalistic focus that concerns itself with people's actions rather than the motives of their hearts. I would like to see more strictness against gossip, judgment, slander, and discrimination. I want to see stronger relationships because of honesty and forgiveness, rather than increased isolation because of fear of punishment. In all honesty, the years following high school are a time of freedom, especially for people who have grown up in a structured, closed environment. These people often experiment and question, both in thought and action. What better place to search for answers than a community led by faithful, God-fearing administrators? My question is, how can we be expected to know what we believe at the ages 18 to 22 if we haven't seen with our own eyes that there is no life apart from Christ? At age 19, I started dealing with major doubts and questions. I pursue answers in faith, but I also refuse to live as if the doubts don't exist. For example, if I don't see immorality in smoking tobacco, I'm going to smoke tobacco and then learn how it affects my spirituality. I want to learn from my mistakes, not be afraid to make them. If this experimentation is handled properly, I would expect to be guided and taught by administrators, not disciplined by them. I am, in fact, an adult. My point is, a more relational approach to living in a Christian environment at Johnson would heal spiritual brokenness and lead to authentic faith. The student body is at fault too. By adhering to the system, students create spiritual facades instead of spiritual authenticity. Some students who follow the rules are quick to report rule breakers without even understanding the situations. Many students who break the rules perceive these reports and become afraid of getting in trouble. They keep their actions as secrets among each other, and deceit, misconception, and disloyalty multiply among relationships all over campus. Students must learn to boldly confront each other. We have to stop going behind each other's backs if we want to establish true accountability and growth, and ultimately harmony. I don't mean that we should ignore each other's flaws, but everyone has broken the rules to some extent. We need to abandon our crafty ways of dealing with each other's mistakes. Again, it's not about being right or wrong. We are all sinful. The only way to progress spiritually is to engage in honest relationships with one another. When we stop making assumptions about each other and instead work on our own motives, we will see relational improvement. We need to leave the sanctification up to God. Johnson's last flaw that significantly bothers me is that it is so physically isolated from the surrounding community. Programs such as student service hours and Urban Plunge help confront this problem, but the majority of the student body lives on a campus in a removed rural setting. Many students cannot see outside of this Johnson bubble, so they fail to get involved in communities such as Seymour and downtown Knoxville. Some students become so concerned with their social and romantic lives that they lose focus on serving others. Other students even become so fixated on their personal Christian lifestyles that self-righteousness replaces selflessness. These priorities go against Jesus' commission for our lives. Because physically relocating Johnson's campus would be drastically difficult, I'm not quite sure of a solution to the Johnson bubble. Johnson's curriculum provides opportunities for students to serve outside the school, but because transportation can be complicated, they lack the motivation to pursue those opportunities. The most possible change may be the one that must occur in the hearts of students. I address these flaws because I hope to see solutions found in a communal, collaborative way. I can't tell you how to solve the problems because your combined ideas would be much more valuable than mine alone. I just urge you to take action. In the past year, I have taken small steps of progress by initiating conversation with people. I think of it as raising awareness. I strive for relational transparency by discussing my values, struggles, flaws, and concerns about Johnson. My openness usually invites other people to open up. Furthermore, I have received understanding and gratitude from my peers, as well as patient guidance from my teachers, coaches, and administrators. After vocally addressing flaws, we can take action. I refuse to see my recognition of flaws as my being overly sensitive or overly critical. Sure, flaws exist everywhere, and humans are imperfect. Johnson University, however, proclaims a lifestyle of truth and love, and its students claim to be not of this world. Because I have personally experienced such disappointment in Johnson's environment, I cannot resist trying to help Johnson grow. I'd be a hypocrite if I advocated growth but tore Johnson down. My aim is not to tear it down, but to boldly point out its flaws with the goal of seeing improvement. I don't want students to have the same experience I've had. We must work together to find solutions and follow God's creative will in the process. There are flaws in every environment for us to confront, transform, and abolish.